Good morning, everyone. Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I am here to answer some questions. Good morning. Good morning. Ask me anything you like. Good morning. Oh, let me get the mic close to you. How about that? Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 12th, 9:06 a.m. And I'm thinking I'm going to make this a regular thing because it finally fits in my schedule. I'm finally getting my schedule together. And we're going to be talking dogs every Wednesday around 9 o'clock a.m. I'm getting good responses again, too. The last Wednesday, that podcast did very well. And yeah, I like helping people. So, yeah. All right. What do I have today? So, I just got a German Shepherd from a rescue, Mitlieb Rescue. Hi, Anna. And we're working with this girl, 6 years old. Her name is Kira. And I really like this dog a lot. Very sweetheart, very much so a sweetheart. And but super dog reactive, I would say. Super dog reactive. And I first witnessed her level of reactivity when I went to a class. And she is one determined gal. She probably would have started a fight if she had the opportunity. But it's all insecurity with her. She's just unsure on what to do. Yeah, we're going to help her with that. We're going to help her with that because that is a level of stress and anxiety that all dogs should be worked to improve. And so we're going to do that. We're going to help her out. We're going to help her. We're going to help her be calm around dogs. But what it takes is it takes someone to rely on. The dog has got to rely on somebody. It had no one for a good amount of time to step in for her. And she's very smart. So she must have had a couple bad experiences with no one being there. And as a result, very fearful. However, I got to say this too, because this all matters. She's also super, super friendly with humans, but that comes at a cost. When you have a dog that is overly friendly, you have to make sure that overly friendliness isn't coming from a not sure place. Some dogs will look like they're friendly and they'll get overly excited. Now, and that's pretty easy to tell, right? If you have a dog, and a lot of people call me and they say their dog just wants to say hi. No, that's not what's happening. Oh, he's just friendly and he wants to play. No, that's not what's happening. If a dog truly just wants to say hi and be happy and just play, it doesn't take it over the top. It doesn't have an out of control demeanor. So for those of you who are out in public with your animal and you encounter someone who has a dog dragging them towards you, and it's a pup, it could be even a puppy or a grown dog, avoid them. Avoid them. Because once again, there's been a lot of instances where that has resulted into a scuffle, a fight, an argument, or whatever. So, I tell my people, my clients, and that I don't care how friendly you think your dog is. I mean, listen, I'm a dog trainer and I can read dogs pretty easily. But most people don't have that ability. And you run the risk of creating a bigger problem for your dog if you allow strange dogs to come up to them. You know, you can't necessarily take the owner's word for it because the owner has no control over the dog, so there's no telling what the dog's going to do and bring. Dog could be, some dogs start off friendly too. They sniff and then they end up getting resource aggressive because the owner's right there. It's like a bad mix. It's like two dogs on leash, which is bad to begin with because on leash behavior for dogs is different than off leash behavior. So you have two dogs on leash, then you have their owners in close proximity, and sometimes dogs can get real crappy for many reasons given that scenario. So it's just best to take your dogs or avoid dogs that you don't know when you're walking. It's just it's a little bit safer. It'll keep your dog safe. Again, your job is to keep your dog safe on leash first and foremost. And your job is to make sure that you avoid having to see me. I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to see me. I want you to have a good dog without having to see me. Unless you just want to see me, that's fine. But make sure you're taking your dog on a walk. Make sure that you are avoiding people and dogs. Now, again, if you know the person, you know the dog is your neighbor, your dogs are cool, I have no problem with that. But strange dogs, if a dog is pulling right towards you and it just doesn't look right, I always tell people to say, hey, my dog's in training, I'm sorry. You know, you got to kind of have that ability to say no to people. Even dogs who are reactive to people, they shouldn't necessarily, or they should take a break at the very least of being interacted with people. All right, so let's dig into that a little bit. All right, human reactivity, human aggression on leash. So if you have a dog who is reactive to humans and kids or whatever on leash, it doesn't matter what it is, dogs, humans, kids, you've already then created a unsafe scenario for the dog. The dog thinks that he is going to be touched by someone he doesn't want to be touched by. Therefore, they bark, they jump, sometimes they bite to take control of that scenario. So when people get their dog back from my board and train, I tell them to avoid that scenario. There's still a long way to go to really help the dog realize that you're in control first and foremost. They have to know that you're in control first and foremost of the environment to the best of your ability. There's no way to fully control it But there's still 9 times out of 10, you can show the dog that you are in control. And then once the dog learns that you are in control, good stuff can happen from there. But it starts with, does the dog take your word versus the obligation of the environment? Because for a lot of you guys, the environment makes the dog do things that it shouldn't be doing, make the dog act in a way where it doesn't listen to you. That means that the environment means more to them than you do. And we have to fix that. We have to fix that first. So if your dog can walk next to you with loose leash, then you're on your way. But that's the first thing that has to happen. Dog has got to have a lot of micro moments with you in full control of them. So sometimes it takes keeping a dog leashed up in the house. Because remember, guys, the leash is a training tool. So the more times we allow the dog the opportunity to not take our word, the more insecurity, anxiety, and reactivity can be built as a result of not being able to rely on their owner. Their owner should be someone they can rely on, not just someone that they can exploit for pets, for affection, for food. But a lot of people, that's the basis of their relationship: cuddles and food. You don't even have to have cuddles and food for a dog to like you. You don't have to pet your dog for them to like you. As a matter of fact, that's a lot of the problem with a lot of interactions between humans and dogs. We feel like every dog should be touched or can be touched. We don't read that very well at all. Some dogs don't like to be touched by strangers. Some dogs would rather take their time getting to know someone. So yeah, the dog has got to be able to rely on you in order for them to take your word versus the word of the environment, basically. Dog has got to take your word, and it starts with inside the house. 90% of the time, it's the time that you spend with your dog is going to be inside the house. Make those interactions more consistent. Make those attempts to get them to listen your focus. Because you can train a dog not to be reactive towards dogs and humans, and you don't even have to go outside. Yeah. I don't have to see dogs on walks to get my dog to get my training dogs not to react when they see dogs. I'll say that again. All you have to do is be a little bit more stricter on the dog's daily interactions. So here's what you have to do every day with your dog. You have to let them outside. You have to feed them. You have to tell them what to do when you have food. You have to tell them what to do when you walk into the door. You have to tell them what to do if they're following you around the house. You have to tell them what to do if they want to get on the couch, or you want them to get off the couch. You have to tell them what to do if they're barking inside the house. So all those things are inside the house, have nothing to do with outside. So all those things that I just mentioned, including jumping too. Jumping happens inside the house most of the time. Going in and out of crates happens inside the house most of the time. So you have all those areas where you can get the dog to really buy into your leadership. Now, when you take that and you've worked on all those things, guaranteed when you take him on walks and when he sees another person or another dog, it's going to be night and day different. But you can't have good behavior on leash if they're allowed to run amok in the house and do what they want. The real work happens where 90% of the time happens, and that's in your house. So if you have a dog who's leash reactive, meaning barking and biting at dogs on leash, barking and biting at children, humans, reaction to cars. If you have that going on with your dog, any of those, then start to think about how well the dog listens inside the house, because I've never came across a dog that listens very well in the house and then doesn't listen very well on the outside. So again, I don't even have to encounter other dogs on leash to teach the dog how to get him better on leash with other dogs around. I don't have to see dogs. You don't have to address the aggression. You have to address all the other little stuff, that 90%. That 90% is the most important. It's the meat and potatoes. So, most important thing is dog can heal with you on leash. And I'll even leash up my dogs as soon as they get out of the crate. I'll leash them up. I'll put them in a sit. We'll center ourselves a good 30 seconds. Then I'll let the dog outside to go pee and poop. That little adjustment will make a big difference in the whole grand scheme of things, because you took control of the otherwise out of control dog as soon as you let them outside of the crate. Most dogs, when they get out of the crate, they're going nuts. They're not even being asked to be patient to come out of the crate. They're just busting out of the crate and then busting through the door. So change that. If you got issues, there's things that you can work on. I always ask all the same questions to everybody I talk to. And I have yet to come across a dog who bites, who jumps, who barks, all the big, heavy behaviors without all those remedial behaviors I just spoke about. All right, guys, those of you who are watching, feel free to ask questions. Ask as many as you like. We're going to be here for at least another 30 minutes. And ask me some dog questions. You know, that German Shepherd I have, man, I think I would keep that dog. I've been considering it. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not. But that dog I would absolutely. That dog is going to make a great family dog. His temperament it's putting my faith back into German Shepherds. I get a ton of not so good German Shepherds that really don't like me in the beginning, because that's how they are. This one, though, is different. This one is so friendly and so sweet, but that can also hurt her. And I'll tell you why. When a dog, again, is overly sweet and overly happy and has to say hi, it's driven by insecurity. It's driven by necessity. It's driven by obsession. And that should be helped as well. That's going to be the biggest thing for her. We don't have to concentrate. If you guys seen my video that I posted, I think it was yesterday, a couple days ago, you will see how aggressive the dog is towards my dogs. I mean, the dog tried to bite my dogs a couple times through the fence. They were sticking their little nose through the fence, and the German Shepherd, I could hear the jaws. I could hear her jaws clap to try and bite my dogs. Okay. Now, going back to what I was just talking about, with this dog, there's always something else aside from the dog reactivity that owners need to be aware of, because one doesn't come without the other. So she's overly affectionate. She's demanding for attention inside the house. So if you help her through that, then you will get a more dog-friendly dog. That doesn't make sense, but I'm going to lay it out again for you. This dog doesn't need a lot of time around dogs. It's not the issue. The issue is that the dog is overly affectionate and insecure with the dog owner or whoever the dog is staying with. You have to concentrate on that. We have to concentrate. I know the dog follows the owner around the house. I know the dog barks for attention. And you have to be able to separate the dog's needs. First of all, you have to give the dog what their needs are. Then secondly, you have to be able to distinguish why the dog is being pushy. Is it because it just wants attention? Well, you should have already given them attention by giving them a walk or giving them some exercise or playing whatever. Doesn't matter. But then you have to draw the line. You have to say, all right, now you need to give me some space. And you can't just get pets and affection and attention all the time, anytime you want. That's exhausting for number one. Let's be real. And then number two, it's very healthy for a dog to experience boundaries from you. If it doesn't experience boundaries from you, then it will assume that that's how the world works. And then as a result, it won't respect other people's space. And it'll also make the dog think that the world revolves around them and that their issues are the priority, because you've made their issues, their wants, the priority inside the house. Let me further explain. When you give a dog attention anytime it wants, it tends to shut out the rest of the world like a spoiled child that doesn't speak to adults, doesn't interact with teachers, and doesn't make friends. Okay, we do have to push them to make friends, to be humble, so that it can experience life the way that it should. Most dogs are way intelligent enough to accept the things that they should be accepting with some work. So, again, if you give too much of what the dog wants, not needs, wants, then you are going to create a dog who shuts out the rest of the world, starts creating a list of things, an ever increasing list of things it doesn't like, is afraid of, and doesn't want to interact with. You wouldn't believe the amount of things that people call me and say, yep, he ain't doing that. No, he don't like that. Oh, really doesn't like this, doesn't really like that, doesn't really like this. And it's like, it is our job and obligation to help them through those things. It's not the dog's personality. It is what we've allowed to have happen. So some people don't even know their dog, especially if you think that they are wanting to be aggressive. No dog wants. They don't want conflict. They will try to avoid it they feel it's an option. So yeah, does any of that make sense to you guys? Let me know. Also, we also know that breeds matter. We also know that sex matters. We also know that size matters. All those factors. Um, yeah, this is good. So, once again, make sure that you're just taking a list, and you'll know if your dog doesn't listen to you. Um, don't make excuses for it either. You know, there's a there's a lot of people who make excuses for dogs, and I can tell you if the excuse are valid. Now, I'm not saying everything isn't a factor, but what I'm saying is I can tell if it's something we should actually be given grace or not. Finding that balance is super important. If it's out of balance, you know it because dog stops listening to you or is not listening to you. And the dog seems to think that handling situations themselves is the way to go. So, again, I've talked about this a lot, but how your dog greets you at the door tells you a lot about the relationship. How the dog acts on leash tells you a lot about the relationship. Most dogs, most dog owners cannot get their dog to sit still for 10 seconds without a treat calmly. 10-second challenge. See if you can put your dog on leash and tell them to sit without telling them 4 times to sit back down, or without even telling them to sit down 1 time 4 different times. Here's a good indication that you have a good relationship with your dog. If you can tell your dog to sit on leash and the dog doesn't try to move you for 10 seconds. And 10 seconds is not a long time, but that's like bare minimum. It should be more like 30, 45. If your dog cannot stay still for 10 seconds, guaranteed your dog is obnoxious and or insecure/aggressive. And it doesn't have the respect it needs from you. Doesn't respect you. Your words, your commands aren't just there to be thrown out 3 or 4 times for every freaking. Take the time to let the dog know that you have to listen. And it's for safety reasons too. You're going to bring that dog some calm peace. You're going to alleviate the dog's need to sniff around all the time. And dogs come here and they just start moving their owners around and are barking at me and this and that. First thing I do is like, hey, let's get this sit straight first. Even if you want to introduce, this is going to help. This is going to help in so many different ways. If you can just sit the dog without treats, man. If you can just sit the dog without treats and it stays there for 10 seconds, you can help the dog really become calm in multiple different areas. And that includes not jumping. That includes not chasing after squirrels obsessively in your backyard. That includes not barking in your house. That includes not barking in the backyard, fence fighting. Again, also, if the dog is aggressive, that's how you're going to make the dog feel better about whoever, dog or person or cat or child. It's how you're going to really create and help the dog work through that impulse control. Because if I have a cat reactive dog, a baby reactive dog, a car reactive dog, a person reactive dog, a UPS reactive dog, the dog needs to be told to sit down and stay still so that the dog can actually see that the behavior is not necessary. But it would be great if the owner can do that for them, because the dog thinks, oh, he's got control over me. And that wasn't as serious as I thought it was. And over time, over and over again, the dog starts to lose the need to react so crazy. Does that make sense? Let me know. Does that make sense, guys? I'm trying to tell you. They have to be able to rely on you. But you got to have enough discipline to maintain the balance. Got to have enough discipline. Now, the crate is also a training tool, people. And for the first year that you have your dog, expect the dog to be in a crate. Some dogs are way too young and have way too much energy and are way too impulsive. You have to put a lot of work on a young dog in order for them not to indulge in their youngness. Even though you've done everything under the sun, exercise, this, and this, the dog should not be out all the time, the whole time, when people come over your house. No. Those introductions, if you can keep those introductions very calculated for the first year of its life, then the next however long is going to be fantastic. You got to put that work in, though, the first year of having a dog. You got to put that work in. I mean, you just got to be diligent. You got to be careful. Some people in your family are going to be the worst people for your dog. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Grandparents. It's mostly daggum grandparents who spoil. Let the dog do whatever it wants. Training just goes out the window. No, you can't spoil the dog, man. Sometimes, like I say, the worst person for your dog is your family. They will let the dog jump. Oh, I just want this interaction so bad. I'm going to let the dog jump on me. Well, we're trying to teach the dog not to jump. Anna says husbands. That's true too. That's a big one. That's a big one. It's tough. It's tough. That's why it's important to have a resource of people who you can trust with your animal to keep them safe and not undo the things you worked hard to get done. So sometimes it's about saying no to folks that mean a lot to you. And that's tough too. But dog needs you to do so. You got to step up for him. I have rules for my dogs, and everyone knows it. Everyone respects it. and partly probably because I'm a dog trainer, so they don't really cross that boundary. But I have strong rules for my dogs. Sometimes I tell children, treat them like pet animals, especially especially my kids. If I have training dogs in the yard, they are not to come up to the fence and pet at all. They're not even supposed to come up to the fence. Keep their distance. And that's how I keep everybody safe. Rules are very, very important. All right, guys, those of you who are just joined in, feel free to ask any questions you like. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And I got about good 15 minutes left here. I volunteer at my son's recess on Wednesdays and Fridays. And the kids just love it. And I've been doing that for about a year now. And let me tell you, it's like I used to work at a dog daycare. I started at a dog daycare, and I can remember just being in the dog daycare and just watching behavior, body language, all kinds of different personalities, shapes, sizes, colors, breeds, temperaments, age. And when I go to that recess yard, I can't help but to see and observe the many similarities based on temperament of kid, size of kid. There's so many different factors, and it's cool to see. There are shy kids. There's kids who are obnoxious. There's kids who are right in the middle, who are enthusiastic, competitive, but well-mannered, calm. And, the kids who need some work sometimes are the ones who are, again, intimidated and or overbearing, right? And it's just really cool to observe. That's what makes me, I also do a lot of coaching for the kids, but sports. And they love structure as well. They love to compete. Oh Lord, do little children love to compete? But they also really like leadership and structure, and there's safety in it. There's security in it. And that's the magic, though, of consistent structure. Dogs will like you more than any other person that can rub their belly or give them treats. The dog will choose to follow the person that gives them consistency and boundaries. They know they can trust you because, well, that's who you are. It's clear to them who you are. They're not asking. They know. They're not doubting. They don't take control because they know you will. So, yeah, I got a 5 and 7-year-old, and it's just so crazy how similar it is. We're all kind of driven for the same things. So, all right, y'all. If any of you got questions, type them in now. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. I think I'm going to do this every Wednesday. I'm going to post. I'll try and post around 8 o'clock next Wednesday, so we can let people know instead of just popping up on here, because that's what I've been doing. So I'll let everybody know next week that we are going to be answering some questions and talking dogs. And, we'll take it from there, guys. All right. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions here. I don't want anybody. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good to go. All right, folks. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, heart, or do your thing. It really helps me get this information out there. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next week.